Why do we return to the ballet of bullets? Why do stories of revenge, drenched in blood and sorrow, still captivate us when their rhythms feel so familiar? Ballerina 2025 stands at the crossroads of violence and art, asking us, when the dance becomes predictable, can it still be beautiful? Len Wiseman's return to the director's chair feels both safe and experimental. He brings the sleek choreography he honed in Underworld, the chaotic energy of Live Free or Die Hard, and yet, in Ballerina, struggles to harmonize them into something coherent. There are moments where his direction shines, carefully timed shootouts, fluid camera work, and pauses that allow tension to build like the tightening of a bowstring before release. But too often, these are interrupted by indulgence, scenes where style overwhelms narrative clarity. The real question becomes, is Wiseman directing chaos or merely capturing it? Sometimes it feels as though the film's most bombastic moments unfold not because they advance the story, but because the camera couldn't resist the temptation of spectacle. Romain Le Corbusiers' cinematography is arguably the film's greatest strength. Snow-draped villages lit like Gothic dreamscapes. Interiors drenched in shadows, contrasted against sterile neons. Eve's journey plays out within spaces that feel otherworldly, yet tangible. There is a deliberate balance between aesthetic perfection and emotional distance. But therein lies the problem. At times, the visuals feel too detached from the emotional turmoil of the characters. We see beauty, but do we feel pain? Le Corbusier crafts stunning compositions, Eve framed against towering cathedrals of snow, or silhouetted by flames licking at forgotten ruins. But these visuals sometimes become paintings hung in an empty gallery, admired, but emotionally distant. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow and keep going. No John Wick spinoff can escape comparisons to its parent, and Ballerina does not try. The choreography of violence is there, crisped, deliberate, and occasionally inventive. Grenade ballets, flamethrower duets, and ice skate assassinations mark Eve's path of destruction. But not all action sequences feel earned. Some battles feel like video game levels strung together by minimal plot connective tissue. The best sequences are those where Eve's actions feel driven by desperation, not spectacle. A rooftop fight against armed cultists amid a snowstorm, where the camera weaves between chaos and control, is breathtaking. But scenes where she mows down faceless henchmen in endless corridors, less so. At the center of Ballerina stands Eve, portrayed by Ana de Armas with an intensity that straddles the line between vulnerability and lethality. But who is Eve? A hero seeking justice, or merely a finely tuned instrument of revenge? The script gives us glimpses of her trauma, the murder of her father, the harsh upbringing under the Ruska Roma, but stops short of fully exploring her psyche. De Armas carries the physical demands of the role effortlessly, whether sliding across icy rooftops or engaging in brutal hand-to-hand combat. But emotionally, the script gives her little space to breathe. Her silence is powerful, but silence without inner conflict risks emptiness. When Keanu Reeves' John Wick enters the narrative, his presence serves as a reminder of what Eve could become, a legend trapped in his own myth. Their interactions are brief, weighted with silent recognition. No words are needed to convey their shared understanding of loss. Eve and John Wick do not share a mentor-student bond, nor are they allies driven by shared goals. Instead, their connection is one of reflection, two solitary figures whose lives have been shaped and scarred by the same violent machinery. In the screenplay, their paths cross not to build each other up, but to remind one another of what they have lost. Narratively, their interactions are brief but pointed. Wick appears at two critical junctures, early on offering cryptic guidance, and later during Eve's final approach to the Chancellor. His presence serves as a thematic anchor. Eve stands where Wick once stood, at the crossroads between personal vengeance and endless war. The High Table, the Continental, the Ruska Roma, these are institutions that have erased their individuality, replacing it with obligation and survival. From a world-building perspective, this encounter reinforces a key truth of the John Wick universe. No one truly escapes. Each character, whether a young assassin or a legendary killer, is trapped in the High Table's endless power games. Eve's story is not a prelude to freedom, but a continuation of the same mythic cycle that ensnares them all.
Ballerina struggles most with its pacing. The first act moves sluggishly, bogged down by exposition and hollow attempts at character building. Scenes linger too long without building tension, creating a sense of narrative inertia. But in the second half, once the action ignites, the pacing accelerates with video game-like momentum. The editing is clean but uninspired. Transitions between quiet introspection and chaotic action lack a cohesive rhythm. Moments of potential reflection are rushed through, while some action beats are extended beyond necessity, sacrificing narrative balance. Composed by Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard, the score of Ballerina echoes the familiar John Wick universe, driving percussion, haunting strings, and industrial synth layers. The music succeeds in amplifying tension during key fight scenes, but rarely ventures beyond what we expect. At times, it feels like a safety net, comfortably familiar but rarely bold. Unlike John Wick's more atmospheric cues, Ballerina's score often falls into predictable patterns, mirroring the visual excess rather than contrasting it. Underneath the layers of gunfire and snow, Ballerina quietly asks, "When your purpose is fulfilled, what remains of you? Freedom or a new cage?" The film, like its predecessors, offers no clean answers. Violence begets violence, and purpose fades into survival. Eve steps into a legacy of endless conflict, just as Wick did before her. Ballerina is not as sharp as John Wick, nor as emotionally resonant, but it carves its own space within the universe. Its flaws, uneven pacing, occasional narrative thinness, and an over-reliance on style are balanced by striking visuals, strong lead performance, and moments of exhilarating action. It is a film caught between the elegance of ballet and the brutality of warfare. And perhaps that tension, that unresolved contradiction, is what makes Ballerina memorable, if not timeless.